A fallacy is a flaw in reasoning that weakens or destroys an argument. And when you beg the question, you assume the very thing that you are trying to prove by your argument. By adding this idea of a necessary being to the definition of God, ANSELM makes God's existence part of the definition of God. A necessary being is one that must exist, and ANSELM's response assumed the very contention to be true, that God exists. Now, one of the objections came hundreds of years after ANSELM's time from the 18th century German philosopher Immanuel Kant. Kant offered the point that existence is not a predicate. A predicate is something that is said of another object. Kant thought that Anselm's mistake was in thinking that existence is something that can be predicated upon a thing or be used as a defining characteristics. For example, if a triangle exists, it necessarily has three sides, but it could be that no triangle exists at all, because the idea of existence is not part of how we define triangle. Then a British philosopher, John Wisdom, came up with a thought exercise that sounds a lot like a debate over an ontological argument. It is called the parable of the invisible gardener. It goes like this. Person A and person B returns to a garden after a long absence and notice that few of its plants are still thriving. Person A said a gardener must have been tending to the plants while they were gone. Person B doubts that this is true, so they agree to wait and see if the gardener will show up. After a long period of time, they saw no one. So person A says the gardener must be invisible. So they put up traps. They put up traps and bring in bloodhounds to catch the gardener. When no one was found, person A says the gardener must be intangible as well as unsmellable. And person B replies that what's the difference between invincible, intangible, unsmellable, entirely undetectable gardener and no gardener at all? And you can guess who person A and person B is talking about. John Wisdom came up with this parable in 1944, nearly 1,000 years after Anselm and Gauninus. And this has been going back and forth among philosophers, trying to either prove or disprove the existence of God. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. And with that said, see you all tomorrow.